George Kavassilas has been a lifelong contactee. He was recruited into the secret space program at a very early age. In 2003, he had experiences with his star family where he got to connect with the universe, and he has been in touch with 3 admirals that are part of the Solar Warden program who have reached a very high level of spiritual enlightenment and are here to help humanity have disclosure and join the galactic community.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, welcome back, George, to Exopolitics Today.
Michael, it's an absolute pleasure to be here once again with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I know our last interview really did very well. A lot of people have responded very favorably to that. And I know you've got more information about the disclosure plans. So, yeah, let me turn it over to you and tell us what's happening with this organic disclosure.
Yeah, Michael, this is quite a big deal because what we're doing today is we're sharing with our global community the natural and organic disclosure plan. It's really important for people to have this as a point of reference. Everybody still gets to choose whatever they want, but it's about this information being out and making sure people do have that point of reference, so then people can make an informed decision as to the path they wish to take. And we're working diligently behind the scenes. Everybody's fully committed. We're all in. And as we know that this is our disclosure, it doesn't belong, like I said in the previous interview, to any extraterrestrial group. Sure, there are the prime creators of the realms and our species. However, they are actually wanting us to stand in our own sovereignty, in our own natural love, light, and life force. And it's beautiful the way it's unfolding. And this reminder is really strong. Every time I speak of it to anybody, they feel it deep within themselves. And I'm really happy to be here to share it with everyone. If you wanted to say something then.
Yes, so what is the disclosure plan that you were told by these returning admirals that you're in touch with?
Yeah, and it's kind of like they were reminding me of it. Okay, so for all the starseeds, envoys, and all the prime creators that are here, it's a remembrance process that really I'm providing everybody here, and it's beautiful. It feels wonderful. Basically, the disclosure plan is we are managing disclosure. It is our realm, our planet. And through natural law, we have this natural inherent authority. And because of that, when we're dealing with other forces like an imperial force that is imposing itself here in our realm, it is an unnatural way, this imposition. And the groups like the Galactic Confederation of Worlds with the Intergalactic Confederation of Light, which I was an emissary for in 2004 and still am. The way, and other groups, the Federation, the Galactic Federation of Worlds, etc., they're here supporting us to a degree, but then it's our responsibility to take stewardship of our own realm and our own lives and our own destiny. And when we do that, we are moving with evolution stream, the evolution stream. So it's coming back to the natural and organic creational flow and unfoldment of life. that is critical when we come back to home into the universal creational intelligence. The unified field is another way of putting it. Then we're actually moving with that evolution stream. So it's natural, it's organic, it's the original intention, it's in the frequencies of the original logos of creation. And when we are moving and flowing in that space, that's when you hit the natural flow state. Yeah. And that's when we experience ease and grace. Now, when we are dealing with these external forces, then that's when things start getting topsy-turvy and shaky, and ideological conflicts begin to happen, etc., because we're not in that unified field. We're not in that natural flow of unfoldment of original intention and original logos. Yeah. And we know that what logos represents, for those who are not aware, it comes from my ancient culture, and it is a word that describes the vibrational frequencies and patterns of creation itself and the way it unfolds. And in religion, it was twisted and co-opted into God spoke, and it was the word, and the word was creation, right? So that's the very much reduced, limited version of, and twisted into the favor of the God entity, so people can believe it is then the source of creation, and then they attribute the power of creation and continually feed the energy of that in that direction towards that entity who's just sucking it all up and postulating itself in that position. And we see that happen throughout the eras, the epochs in our realm, going back through the ages of these gods that come along and postulate themselves in a position of authority, and also they start tinkering with our genetics, and then they seek dominion and ownership over us. So, and these are the spaces where the narratives have been coming from into our realm for a very, very, very long time, and it's time for that to stop. It's time for the true nature of life and life to now come out, not only of us, but from inside our reality, from the depths of the creation of our realm, and then emerge and come out like the opening of a flower amidst the wilderness of chaos. Yeah. And so, yeah, go on.
Okay, all right. So, when we're talking about this God matrix and the control system that's set up, I mean, the obvious examples are things like Yahweh and Judaism, Allah and Islam. And for the Sumerians, was it kind of like Enlil or Enki or Marduk?
Yeah, correct. And it's kind of like the original beings were doing great work. Enki, as I know Enki through Arn, I've been working closely with Arn now for well over 20 years, and we had a very deep and intimate interaction back in 2004, 2005, and 2006. And when I've been saying since then that Arn was kissed by Sophia, which is the being, the intelligence, Christi Sophia, which is the intelligence and the soul and the spirit and the consciousness of this planet, this planetary being. This is where we are. This is who this is that we are walking upon. And Arn was kissed by Sophia. And since then, he's been struggling with his own personal journey, and he's stepped down. He's stepping down off the throne, yeah, because he's now redirecting the focus into his own personal growth and journey. He's no longer chasing, imperial values and philosophies. He's coming back home to the natural way of love, life, and light.
Now, just explain how that process worked out, because as far as I knew, Anu in the kind of like pantheon of the Anunnaki was kind of pretty standoffish when it came to managing the earth, always delegated to his sons or grandsons. So why was it that he was kissed? I mean, I don't understand how he could have established this close relationship with the spirit of earth when he wasn't really the one kind of like managing things here. Why didn't that happen to, say, Enki?
Well, it did, and it's still happening to Enki. And it just happened to Arn in a very deep way. It's kind of like you can have a group of people, and some people feel more deeply connected to the planetary being than others will, you know. And with Arn, he came here in the beginning. He came here. He's been here many times, yeah. And when I had my interaction with him, he was just in a craft, just hovering above, yeah. And when we interact with this realm, if you allow the realm, the natural organic frequencies of the realm, not the imperial ley lines and networks and matrix grids and all of these things, if you just immersing yourself in those frequencies in that space, then you're missing the natural way of love, life, and light here. It's you're not in the natural and the organic frequencies. Yeah, that's why all the indigenous tribes keep reminding us: connection to country, connection to country, connection to country. They keep wanting us to come back home to the natural structure of things. Now, this is really, really important because the distinction between the flavor, it's like the taste and the texture of the imperial narratives. It's palpable. Like, you remember I talked about the difference between the synthetic Nordics and the natural Nordics, right? And it's palpable. The distinction is very clear. You know, if you're new into it, in the beginning, it's a little bit, how do I discern and this, that, and the other? But you can feel it. It doesn't take long. And then the distinction between the frequency, it's like information has a frequency signature, right? Everything is energy, everything is frequency. So we're dealing with fields of resonance continuously because that is the structure of the universe. It is all frequency. So when we're in that space, we're continuously feeling, sensing. So therefore, whenever you talk fields of resonance, we're really talking relationship. So this is Georgism for you. It ain't rocket science, it's relationship, yeah? So everything is relationship, all of it. Our entire existence in the universe is relationship, yeah? So when we come back to those dynamics, and instead of intellectually, computationally, you know, analyzing things, and come back to the full spectrum integrative relationship, which is the natural way, then the every piece of information that comes along has a frequency to it. And that's why in the previous web interview, I was really sharing how to discern, you know, our discernment process of sitting with a body of information, and instead of just processing it on the intellectual level, to allow the information to move through your whole body and being. And how do you feel in your relationship with that body of information, with those frequencies that body of information actually emanates, okay? So, for example, in our previous interview, the whole message that was delivered was within itself a body of frequency, yeah? Now, we inserted that into the whole UFO disclosure, UAP space, exopolitical space. Now what we're doing is we're observing as that energy's gone in and it's rippling through that entire realm, we're observing the responses, the reactions. And I'm sharing this in, let's say, to soften it, the hypothetical concept that what I'm sharing is actually real and true. So hypothetically, if what I'm sharing is absolutely real and true, then the frequency of that is going to then ripple along, and it's going to impact all of the narratives, all of the ideological systems, and all of the information in that space. And it's just that observance of how other intelligences in that space are responding and reacting and how they feel about it. It's quite fascinating to bear witness to that. So with that, and it's designed, like myself and the three admirals, it's designed to go in and do this work in that space. That's the intention behind that. Not as in a chaos disruptor, but I am in this world an agent of change. You know, this is what I've come here to do. I didn't come here to reiterate and reinforce the imperial narratives. I'm a voice for creation. I'm a voice for Sophia, and I'm a voice for Homo luminous, our natural state. And we are now injecting these frequencies into the imperial structures all over. There's different people doing work, all the invoice star seeds, people that are here, prime creators. We're all here now doing this type of work to put these frequencies from the natural way of love, life, and light into the unnatural ways, meaning the imperial ways of love, life, and light. Does that make sense?
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, as I understand it, and you can correct me, I mean, there's a frequency that's part of any narrative, and the frequency with narratives that talk about things like, well, say the Galactic Federation's going to take care of us, or Enki's the returning god and he's going to take care of us, or that Yahweh or someone else is going to take care of us. You know, these are narratives that give our power away to these gods, and there's a frequency associated with that. But when we say, okay, I'm going to trust my own discernment, my own intuition about what's happening, then we are connecting with our infinite source consciousness, if you like, and that's the natural, organic way that you're talking about. Is it something like that?
Yeah, you're on it. And so the just let me feel into, so where we're at now with this energy coming in, it's also a match. That's why you'll notice the comments. I looked at a few of them, and I noticed something really interesting. Back in, even a while ago, let's say in the last few years, even a lot of people would say, you know, I really get what he's saying. I'm comprehending it, this, that, and the other. But now I'm feeling it. This deeply resonates, and people are feeling it throughout their being. That's the difference and the differentiation. It's really quite fascinating, because it's speaking to people on a deeper level within themselves, within their being, beyond the mind. And that, for me, is music to my heart.
Okay, yeah, so people are definitely resonating with this information, and it's triggering people to awaken. Now, you know, you've talked quite a bit about the three-eye atlas being some lead vehicle of the returning admirals, and that it's taken a path in our solar system which is going to kind of like help bring about this organic awakening process. But at the same time, you know, there are these alternative narratives coming from different sources with kind of questionable connections to the intelligence community, making it out to be an alien craft that carries with it this kind of unknown threat. And they hypothesize, they just drew this kind of like out of nowhere. They just say they come up with the dark forest hypothesis, where they kind of like speculate that, well, the universe out there is a dark, dangerous place. ETs are hiding, and so any ET in this dark forest is going to likely be very hostile, and now one of them has made its way into our solar system, and so chances are that it's going to be hostile, and you know, they could have very malevolent intentions towards us once they reveal themselves.
Yeah, that's the old, problem, reaction, solution. It's all fear campaigns, and it's the war machine that just wants to keep going. And, I've been saying for my entire life, basically, beings like Yahweh are warlords. Yahweh is an ancient draconian warlord who has amassed great intelligence, intellect, and power, and sits on the throne of quite a reasonable, fairly large imperial structure, and demands blood sacrifice. That's why I won't get into that. It's really controversial if I say that, so I won't. But anyway, it's very obvious to anyone who participates in flesh and blood rituals, right? And I think a few people can work out what I'm saying there, that, when people are walking into temples and participating in these things, they need to realize what they're actually doing, despite the disguise, despite the marketing campaign, despite the justifications for that type of ritual. And it speaks for itself, because when you're really in the natural way of love, life, and light, you don't do any of these things. There's just it's really quite fascinating. Anyway. And that's why there's so many wars on our planets, and there's so much killing and death and destruction and misery and suffering. It's the gods who demand blood sacrifice, and hence, the sacrificial ritual of the red heifer, etc., and on it goes. You'll see it in every religion in one way, shape, or form or another, that these sorts of things are occurring, and it's time for it to come to an end in this world, because all we need to do is just relax into ourselves and come home to what's already there. You don't have to perform meditative processes. You don't have to do any of these ritualistic things at all. All you need to do is just redirect your focus from here back into the core of your and the essence of your being. It is really that simple. And look, it was right under my nose the whole time. We didn't even know it, right under our noses. So that's all. The simplicity of it. The problem is we've been entrained into so much complexity, right, and drama, that the simplicity of what is natural and real is too simple. People have this addiction to complexity, because of the way our society has been structured. And we're transcending that now. And this is what I love about the disclosure plan. And I would like to segue into that now, if that's all right, Michael. Yeah?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Because this is the beauty of it. Through natural law, which provides us with our natural authority on a creational level, despite the claims of any empires or gods, any of the gods, doesn't matter what they claim. We have the actual, on a universal, with a prime creative intelligence of this universe, we have the actual true natural authority here. And like I said at the end of my previous interview, when I sent that message to the Cabal, a very clear message, if you recall, and I looked in the camera, I said, you know me out there, right? They know me on the other side of the veil. They know me in those circles that we mix. And I stand in that authority. Yeah. And when we stand in that authority, we're standing in total harmonic alignment with the evolution stream, which means we are now in alignment with the actual prime creative intelligence that is this universe. Yeah? This entire universe, the creator, the creative intelligence. So we're here representing that. We're not here representing religious ideology, which is spawned out of imperial structures, the kings and even if you look at, just quickly, if you look at the whole world of Christendom, and I was born into a Greek Orthodox infrastructure, attended a Catholic boys' high school, so I'm well versed in that, and my actual bloodline on my father's side goes all the way back to very powerful priestly kings in ancient Greece and all of that stuff. So and on my mother's side we got it back to 300 AD, where my ancestor built the gates to the city of Constantinople, and then was invited, after that master work, was then invited into the Creed of Nicaea. So my ancestor was in the Creed of Nicaea. So this is really substantial in the way of how we choose to see, how we choose to feel and operate and live by these things. So I'm just letting people know a little bit of the background here, because when it comes to disclosure, we're actually coming from this natural place, not an imperial place. We're not coming from Game of Thrones. And so when you look at the world of Christendom, what has been handed to us is really, from the Pharisees, which is exactly what Christ warned everybody about. Beware of the Pharisees, their ways and their deities. And the entire Christian religion was handed to us by the Pharisees. This is the madness of it all. Anyway, I just hope people don't take offense to that and can actually sit with the reality of it, rather than trying to defend a belief system and getting upset. Sit with it and like I say, ping it, like sit with the energy of what I'm sharing. It's really quite, we are in the time of the apocalypse, and the deep, real, true information is now shining through. Yeah. Now, with the disclosure plan, giving that background, that disclosure plan, we are working with all these prime creative intelligences, with the intelligence of the universe. And we're not here to impose anything outside of that. We are in the natural evolution stream. And the three admirals are completely in with that. That's why they're working with the planetary intelligences. That's why they're working with this planetary intelligence, with our soul of humanity, if you want to call it that, or the soul of Homo luminosity, and with the solar being, with the sun itself, because they're entering into that solar being's body, the body of the solar being. When you enter the solar system, you're entering into the body of the solar intelligence. So we need to remember and realize the structure of creation and what we are actually doing. So when you have an empire that comes from another star system or intergalactic and comes here and then does what it wants to do, that's an imposition, that's a violation. And that's what happened to An when he got kissed by Sophia. That's the realization that hit him real hard. And he got to see all his imperial ways, and that's why he's stepping off the throne. Been talking about this for over 20 years. Now, with the disclosure plan,
I'm sorry, you raised a very important point there, because the Anunnaki are supposed to have a very extensive galactic empire. And if An steps off the throne, who is going to step into his place?
Well, there's a bit of a battle going on between the two sons, right, for that throne. But An's energy and the changing him is now rippling through that entire Anunnaki empire. The frequency that he's embodying and emanating. Yeah. And when I feel into Enki, he knows. He's been told. They're all briefed by An of the natural evolutionary path here, and they're all here correcting and rebalancing their karmic equation. Right?
Okay, well, seeing as we're on the subject of Anu and Enki and Enlil, I mean, several sources have said, well, Enlil was captured and tried by a collective court for all of his kind of past injustices, and so he's under house arrest or in prison somewhere. So Enki is now I guess the prince who's in good standing, and so it looks like he'll be the one that will step up. So is that, yeah? So this whole idea of Enki and Enlil being the two sons or princes that are going to take over the throne. Is it true that Enlil has been kind of like imprisoned?
I will say Enlil has been given a very good talking to by his father. Both of them have, and both are atoning. And their ways are changing, and yeah, you're gonna see a very, very different Enki when the time comes. It's like let me explain it this way. Anybody who has had anything to do with the creation of these nested realities, fractal realities, meaning the galactic womb, the solar and the planetary womb, yeah, these realities, nested realities, anyone who's had anything to do with it, they're all here on the ground. That was the edict. And only those who diabolically resist the natural evolution, because of the fractal nature, we're not only closing a planetary realm here, we're closing, all the galactic dramas are closing as this cycle closes. It's going to be like a wave. It's already happening. The ripples are going out through our solar system and through the galactic realm in such a substantial way. So the shift is on. We're no longer, like in this realm, no longer is the violation of innocence permitted. And even though you can look out around you and see it's still occurring, that's the last throes of it. It's all coming to an end. You know, the violation of innocence in a very substantial way. And what we achieve here is going to send a wave of energy out through the entire galaxy and change the entire galactic. It's extremely, like, to comprehend on a creational level who we are as a species and the meaning and the purpose for this realm and for our existence. So coming back to the creational intelligence and coming back to the why of us and the why of this planet, the why of the solar system, like the sun through the fractal structure, these nested fractal realities, full fractal, yeah, where this is the only, in the entire cosmos, this is the only space-time location this is occurring, in our galactic realm, in our solar realm, and in our planetary realm. Because even in our galaxy, all extraterrestrial races are partial fractal. We are the only full universal fractal species in the cosmos.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So things that happen here are going to reverberate around the galaxy. So in terms of this whole Anu being replaced by one of his sons and Enlil apparently being kind of out of the line of succession for the moment because of some, some bad stuff he's been doing, and Enki being the one that's going to step up. Now, what do you make of the deep state's support of Enki? And I'm thinking of people like Zecharia Sitchin, who worked with the deep state, and he was promoting Enki worship. And in fact, he was told to kind of like interpret the Sumerian texts in a way that would create a future religion around Enki, and so that when Enki returned, the deep state would welcome him as the new god.
Okay, so when I track Enki's energy through his father, when I head towards Enki and connect with him, yeah, this is going to be so controversial. My goodness gracious me. Wow, this is going to be really controversial. I'm going to go hypothetical. Let's go with a hypothetical, shall we?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, be controversial. It's all right. It's okay. I mean, people
even with my hypothetical, it's going to be extremely controversial. It's just, I've got to soften the blow. So if you took note of what I just mentioned just previously, that anyone who's had anything to do with the creation of the galactic womb, I'll reiterate, the galactic womb, the solar and planetary, the solar realm and the planetary womb, they're all here on the ground. They've all incarnated. Everyone is here. Okay? Everyone is here. Now, the grand disclosure plan is a grassroots process. Because everyone is here, and I know this is going to sound crazy, I really recommend everybody connect into natural creation, source, prime creative intelligence of the universe, connect into the heart of this planet, the soul of this planet, Christi Sophia, into the heart of the sun, the galactic realm. You know, I do not recommend consulting beings in imperial structures for this, right? Discernment process. Okay. I recommend directly to creation, directly to what people call source. Okay. And nothing between you and that. And feel into the evolution stream and feel into the edicts or the requirements of the co-creation of these realities and the requirements at the end of this whole entire creative process from when we began to co-create together, build with the universal being, the galaxy itself from the very beginning, which I have memories of. Yeah. And others do too, at the meetings and the deliberations we had before this galaxy even existed. Yeah. And we also remember having to then, after our meetings and deliberations, because it was a reverberation that went through the entire universe, when it got to the point where all possibilities and outcomes were exhausted in the multiverse, in the cosmic domains, what we call the cosmic arena, you know, where we all go into character and role play for one another universally. You know, the universal stage is another way of explaining it, describing it. And there was several gods that did not hear that call because they've journeyed into separation away from the natural way of love, life, and light. They became self-serving in their light, and they become enamored with their self-serving light. Yeah. Now, they did not hear that call. Now, we then, after the original meeting, had to then go and consult these gods and let them know what took place. And during that meeting, they lost their shit. They said, you guys are lying. You're making it up because you want to undermine our authority in the cosmos. Yeah. And they then vowed that they would sabotage and try and stop this process every step of the way right through to the end. And that was the beauty of that process, because that set up all the forces of limitation that were then going to challenge this whole process moving forward. Because the way the universe operates, if you create something, the universe has to challenge the integrity of that creation. Yeah, through the yin and yang process, through the very nature of the universe. So it is just, it was this most incredible moment in the entire cosmos when that took place, because it set up all the energetic patterns for the evolution stream moving forward. We now had all the programs of the forces of limitation, and then you have the momentum of creation and that dance that we do, our forward momentum and the resistance that appears to then prevent us, to challenge us, to make us go deeper, to see what we're really worth, and then move through that resistance. And that's what we've been living all our lives here, experiencing, right? Even in this lifetime. But this process has been going on from the very beginning of when the galactic womb was beginning to be created. It began back then. So this is the beauty of this process. Now, how this translates here is the edict from the universal creator went, anybody who has had anything to do with this process, when the cycle closes and that opening occurs, because this was going to be the exit way, you go enter into this galaxy, the compression, because like for the fractal structure, every star system you see in our galaxy is a galactic realm, a galactic intelligence. Through compression, through fractal compression, is now a star system in our galaxy. Now, that every star system you see in our galaxy is a galaxy, a galactic realm, but incarnated as a star system. That's a massive amount of compression, like ridiculous amounts of compression. Yeah? And then you take all the stars in our galactic realm and you integrate them into a single star. That is our sun. That is what our sun is. It's what it's made of. All of the visible light in the universe, in the cosmos. It is truly phenomenal to come back home to the actual structure of creation and to remember how we created all this from the very beginning and how we've ended up here. And so everybody who participated was going, I'll just finish this one. They all had to come in at the end to rebalance all our equations from that entire journey, from the very beginning of this entire fractal process. Everybody's got to be in here now on the ground, atoning for everything.
Okay, so let me try and kind of like summarize that, because you put a lot of really important concepts into there.
Oh,
so yeah, so there's the fractal nature of the universe has led to this compression where, say, a galactic supercluster compresses into the consciousness of a single galaxy, like the Milky Way galaxy might be a kind of fractal representation of the Laniakea supercluster, for example, and that the galactic, our Milky Way galaxy can be compressed, or has been compressed, if I follow you correct, into our sun, into whether we call him Helios or whatever the name is, being compressed into the sun. So the sun has the consciousness of the entire galaxy.
Yes.
And that the planet is also a fractal of the sun, and we are fractals
of the planet.
All these of the planet. Okay.
Correct.
The planet. And these kind of like personalities, these powerful figures in terms of ancient history, they're incarnated now, but they carry the consciousness of one of these fractal entities at a higher level.
Yeah, because they are those beings.
Okay.
Everyone's here. And very few couldn't come and be here because they're so diabolically entrenched in their ways of separation, right? And still continuing to provide the forces of limitation, working against what is natural. Because of the way, the structure of the universe, if you have so I'll give you an example of the God entity. If you have the natural prime creator of the universe, that is this universe, by the very nature of the universe, yin and yang, you then must have a being in the cosmic arena claiming to be the creator of all that is and all that exists. You must have that because of the universe, the nature of the universe. So there are beings who are fulfilling those roles, yeah, for us, okay? And everyone's here on the ground. And this is what the Great Disclosure Plan is. This is the beauty of it, is because it's going to be grassroots. It's from the bottom up. I really love the whole entire process of that. I just really, it feels so good. It feels wholesome. It's organic. It's natural. Everybody's atoning. It's this journey back home into unity, you know, because we're taking the last two strands and we're integrating them and we're transcending DNA altogether into this unified state. I'm not here to reactivate my 12 strands of DNA because that would be just going back up the evolution stream. That's where I came from.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
I have a question about that.
Yeah. It's like every statement raises so many questions.
Yeah. Well, you know, this whole 12-strand DNA that some say that when the Anunnaki arrived 300, 400,000 years ago, well, the Anunnaki story is that, well, you know, they just genetically upgraded these hominids at the time. But others, people like Lisa Renee and even you can go to various other sources say that I think Wes Penrare is another source, that these sources claim that humans at that time had the 12-strand DNA and that
That's true.
The Anunnaki dumbed them down to 2-strand. So now,
over a period of time, it was progressive.
Yeah. So this is my question to you, and I know you've answered this in some of your webinars, is that, well, wouldn't it make sense? Isn't it a good thing that we kind of like restore our 12-strand DNA before the Anunnaki messed it up? But you're saying that there's a compression, that we don't need to go from 2 to 12 again. We can just do something else.
Okay, so the original, you know, plan of creation, grand plan of creation, was for these realms, these nested realities, to get us to put us into, like, you know, corralling into compression, deeper compression. So this is where the lie is, that we're at the bottom of the universe and you must raise your vibration. That's the lie. That's the misdirect. That's the deception, right? What we're here to do is to integrate all of our light and all of our shadow back into integrated unity and transcend the realms of conflict entirely and come back into that third state of unity.
Okay, that doesn't explain to me why, you know, I, at this moment, presumably possessing 2-strand DNA, where I have very limited awareness of who I truly am and so forth, that going to 12-strand DNA shouldn't be something I aspire to, but in fact, I should be aspiring to this kind of integration process that you described.
Well, that's what I'm aspiring to. You can choose whatever. My love for you is unconditional for everybody. You can do whatever you want. I'm providing with you the original intention. I'm not providing you imperial narratives. Okay, so you get to now sit with what you already know and what I'm sharing with you, and feel deep inside of you what resonates the most. And that will be the calling of your soul as to which direction you want to go in. And if you reactivate your 12 strands of DNA, then you're going to be recycling back into the cosmic arena to continue to play spaceships and Star Wars, right? In the realms of conflict. If that's what you want to do, go for it. I'm done with that. And I'm exiting the cosmic arena, the universal stage. I'm going back home to the realms of harmony. Transcending DNA altogether.
Okay. I can understand why transcending DNA is something that is worthwhile, because our soul consciousness or our soul body is made of spirit, and DNA is really the coding that enables this avatar body to work. So, you know, why should I aspire to kind of like become like the software running this avatar body, that I can become one with my soul consciousness or infinite source intelligence, which I guess is where you get this whole transcending DNA.
Correct. Yeah. Enlightenment, or what people call ascension, isn't reactivating strands of DNA and raising the frequency. That's the imperial model of enlightenment. The organic, natural model of what these realities were actually, the original intention for the creation of these nested fractal realities, is that we go into this process of losing the multiple strands, right? And it gets down to get a load of this, where as you're compressing away from these other strands of DNA, these are all the different groupings of races, okay? And you'll notice that we've got it right down to us and the reptilians. Basically. That's why we have the reptilian brain at our core. Yeah. That's why the blue dragon energy, which is part of the consciousness, which makes up the Lady Gaia personality. Yeah, which is the outer. That's where this is her distorted planetary ego. And then when you go into the core of the being, into the heart of this planet, that's where you hit Christ Sophia. Christi Sophia is what we've always called her in my culture. Yeah, it's the Christ in the feminine. This is where we are. This is who we are incarnate upon. And I recommend everybody feel into what I'm saying. Please do your own due diligence. Don't take my word on a shallow level. I don't want you to do that on face value. I really encourage everybody to go really, really deep within the core of your being and come back to the evolution stream, and come back to creation and feel the original intention of the creation for, like, the meaning, the purpose, the why of the galaxy, the why of the solar system, the why of this planet, and the why of our species.
Okay, so let me kind of rephrase what you've just said, because I think there's something important here to be brought out, and that is that the original humans on this planet before the arrival of the Anunnaki that had 12-stranded DNA, you know, they were created by, let's just say, very highly evolved beings that thought that a 12-stranded human skin suit or vessel would be a host whereby the soul incarnated into that could do really amazing things in this 3D reality. And the Anunnaki arrive and they say, oh, well, we don't want these 12-stranded humans around because they're going to be trouble for us. They're too smart, live too long. So we're going to dumb them down to two-strand. And that way the souls that have incarnated into those bodies are now going to be reincarnated into two-stranded DNA, where they can, you know, their abilities are really dumbed down. And now at this point, you know, rather than like restoring the 12-stranded DNA where this physical body could do all these amazing things, we could return back to infinite soul awareness or connection with the infinite by just going within, embracing infinite source consciousness inside of us.
And spirit, and more importantly, soul, which resides beyond spirit and beyond consciousness. Exactly. Consciousness is knowledge. It's universal mind energy. Spirit is the love essence, universally speaking. Soul resides beyond spirit and consciousness in the universe, and is where we are whole and completely one and divine and unified with the universal intelligence.
And is an imperial narrative really all about getting us to accept limitation in some form or another, whereby we, accept some being out there as a god, or we accept some kind of skin suit, whether it's 2-strand or 12-strand, as the optimal way of living life? Are these just different imperial narratives?
Yeah, well, where the 12 strands were originally created, we were in a different frequency. The realm was in a different frequency. Yeah, there was no consumerism in the beginning. There was no death and destruction here. No one ate anyone else in order to survive, right? Now everyone has to eat everyone. Everything in this realm kills, even the elements, earth, fire, water, air. Everything takes life in order to survive. It is consumerism. We have to consume, right? So as long as you're consuming to survive, you're not living from the inherent light energy, which, from within, which is how we originally were structured. Now, the realm, the planet, she created her outer, what we call the Lady Gaia personality, right? And that's when she adopted that blue dragon energy to create this beautiful planet that we live upon. Now, the way this reality got changed, and this is all the background leading into the disclosure plan, okay? Because people might feel that we've gone off on a tangent. But Michael, what you're doing is we're really nutting out the background before I actually go deeper into that disclosure plan. So we then, in conjunction with the planetary being, with Sophia, we knew what we had to do, like the journey that the reality was going to take. So as the reality was then forming into this new dimension, a lot of beings peeled off and stayed in what I will refer to in my model of the 5th dimension, where there's no technology, there is no consumerism, and it's in the realms of harmony. We also call those, in our earthly terminology, we would call that the Christed realms. Yeah? Total harmony, no consumerism, no technology. None of that exists. No dis-ease. Healers don't exist because nothing needs healing. Everything is in beauty and harmony of the divine. Yeah? So we peeled off and we plunged through the great void into the arena. Yeah? The cosmic arena. And in there, everything started to change. And the way this planetary realm got edited, right, was the mycelia. What an intelligence, right? What an incredible intelligence. It is the fascia of the earth, of Gaia. The mycelia is the fascia of Gaia, okay? And the way the realm got converted into and the shift in frequency into a consumeristic realm is these spores were sent this way, and this was a more, you could say, malevolent expression of mycelia, or a consumeristic version that came in and infected the mycelia that was already here and changed it. And because the mycelia membrane runs through the entire substrate of the entire crust and then plugs into all life, you have it throughout your body. Those shelves behind you, all those books, there's mycelia in all of those pages, right? Fungal spores, right? It is everywhere. It's through our entire bodies. Everything you touch, see, it's everywhere. In your bathroom, mold grows very quickly, especially in humid areas. I mean, it's everywhere. This thing, and it changed. It altered. Once it got into all the different life forms, it then turned everything into consumerism. It made the entire, everything that's biological, and even beyond biology, into the elements. And like Sophia or Gaia took care of mainly the elements, but worked in co-creation with this mycelia because of the journey the realm needed to take into these other dimensions, deeper dimensions of compression and integration, but also into consumerism, separation. So we live the journey into separation, learn the lessons, and then come back home into unification, into unity. We learn how not to be through this process of compression.
Okay, all right. So maybe at this point we should bring it back to this disclosure plan that you were told about, and kind of like focus on that.
Yeah, because talking on a creational level, we can lose a few people. It's big. It's the big stuff, right? It's once you come back to source, once you come back to the prime creative intelligence, you're in the unified field. You see it. You have access to all that knowledge. Yeah, it just flows naturally. It's beautiful. So again, don't take my word for it. I recommend everybody, discern, feel into it, see what feels good for you. And the way it works with the disclosure plan now, we're at this point where we're exiting the realms of conflict. We're exiting from needing to take life in order to live. Yeah. And so many want that because we're tired of wars, we're tired of conflict, we're tired of causing harm in any way, shape or form. We're over it. So we're coming back home. And that's what these nested realities were. And now we have the disclosure plan from a grassroots operation, and anybody who has ever had anything to do with these realities in a really substantial way are here on the ground. That I know for a fact. Yeah, because I'm one of those beings. That's how I have all this knowledge. That's why I'm doing the work that I'm doing. That's why you're doing the work that you're doing, Michael. That's why everybody who's listening to this this interview has an interest. You're not sitting in Macca's watching the footy, right? You're here listening to this because this is what's calling you. Yeah? Okay. We've got to come to the realization of the reality of us and how we're living and operating and what we're doing, rather than the ideology of ourselves and the ideology of life here. Come back to the reality of life and be very pragmatic and very realistic. Yeah. And so with the grand plan for disclosure is it had to be a grassroots operation. It can't be from the top down. Otherwise, we're just repeating over and over again the same old. Yeah. But now we've introduced a grassroots, bottom-up disclosure plan. And I just want to say to everybody who's listening to this, we are disclosure. It's us. You're wondering why they're kicking the can down the road and nothing has happened yet? It's because they're waiting for us to stand up. Everyone out there knows it.
Right. Okay. That is such a profound statement right there. And it matches with real life events because, disclosure is not happening at an official level. Someone is kicking that can down the road, just as you say. And I have to give credit to Jalila Starr, who talked about this very thing a few weeks ago, actually months ago, when I did an interview with Dr. Andrea Martin, and how she kind of like said that official disclosure was kind of pushed back, and Jalila Starr said the same thing as you, that this is a good thing because we don't want official disclosure, that any kind of official disclosure, even coming from positive forces, is going to be tainted in some way with this kind of imperial agenda. But if it happens at a grassroots level, then that's the optimal way for us to escape. Exactly.
And the other method is for all the victims who need saving.
Mm-hmm.
If you are calling for that savior archetype, you're deep in the victim archetype. There's no way out of that. That's reality. There's no, you can sit there and go, oh, no, I'm not, da, 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 da. You could do that all you freaking like, but this is absolute actuality of life. If you're waiting for that savior, you're giving your power away, which means you are the victim, which means you do not acknowledge and see and embody the light and the power and the force and the grace and the beauty and the love that is inside of you. You're not operating from that.
Well, this is the challenge, though, isn't it? I mean, not operating from that, because at a mental level, it's like, yeah, I want that. I want to operate from the kind of light and the love and belief in manifestation of, and I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to give my power away to beings out there. But then you look at things like serious illnesses, physical illness, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, you're conditioned to give your power away to doctors, and everyone now is waiting for med beds to be rolled out and thinking, well, med beds will cure me. But of course, that right there, you're giving your power away, right?
Correct.
Right there.
100%. Why don't you go lay in the sun from sunrise to 30-degree angle and get all that beautiful light, which is the light that sustains all life in the entire solar system? But you're being told that that will give you cancer. So you stay indoors, you stay under artificial suns, especially the LEDs, the tiniest thin blade of a light spectrum targeting your mitochondrial DNA. Same with the blue light toxicity coming off all the technology and the screens. And then you go and eat processed foods and you wonder why you get cancer. Right? Come back to nature. Nature is the remedy for everything. Right? Every ailment, every illness. My son cured his cancer by laying in the sun for 4 months. And after 4 months, his tumors were completely gone. No blue light toxicity. If he had to be indoors and the television was on, whatever, hat, blue blockers like these, and covering his skin, right? And only allowing natural light on because of the photosynthesis that takes place through our cells, right? Yeah, we're like plants too. We got because we're
Oops, the sound just suddenly went.
Someone just muted my microphone.
Wow. That is interesting.
We're hitting big topics here, Michael. Really big topics. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's the natural way. I'll keep reiterating, there is the natural way, and then there's the synthetic way, which is the imperial way. All right, yin and yang. It is that palpable and that distinct. Yeah, the distinction between the two. Okay, how does this relate now all to this disclosure plan? Get a load of this. If you can please now bring up the 3 levels of imposition, because we're coming back to that. Okay, so what I was looking to achieve, and it's a shame on the bottom right there that our images are just covering the text there, because that's thank you, I appreciate that. And what the challenge here was to fit the entire disclosure process and the entire plan of creation here on one page, yeah, and the imposition. And what we're looking at is, and this was a really big challenge, but the whole souvlaki on one page. Wow, that was, and this is years of work here that have gone into this, yeah. So not only is this 3 levels of imposition, but these are the 3 main steps of evolution that we are actually currently going through. And I'll explain. So first of all, we're working through our relationship, because these are 3 relationships we're working through as a species. So first of all, level 1, the geopolitical and the initial oppression and subjugation through the millennia, right? And it's gotten to the point in our recent eras where we have these banking and industrialist families, right, that are basically being, by their overlords, given the permission in their imperial structures to actually be the controllers and the oppressors of humanity, all right, our homo luminosity. Now, we're working through now currently our relationship with that. We call it the Cabal in today's terminology, where our entire species is now working through our relationship with that, and we're exiting that. And then level 2, in came the imposition of the technological intelligence God, and it's acting as the scalpel. And you'll notice that not that many people are sitting outside in the sunshine. More and more are starting to come out because they're awakening to this, and they are beginning to spend more time out in nature and the sunshine. But level 2, the actual scalpel, is designed to sever us from our roots, to cut you off from your relationship with your mother planet and all the narratives involved in that process. Level 3 is the cosmopolitical. That's the harvest, and it is on at the moment because we have the harvest of the technological God taking place right now, and that is how everyone's conscious awareness is being migrated into the technological singularity. And if you want proof of evidence of that, how long do you spend on your computer compared to how long you spend out in nature? And you take an iPad or an iPhone away, or a phone away from, or a computer away from, you know, children, what happens to them? They completely lose it. They turn into these monsters, right? Because they've already been migrated into that space. They can't live without it. It's like the severe drug addiction, right? So that's the scalpel, because people would rather spend their time in the techno world, indoors, gaming, all the gamers. Oh, that is so diabolical. Blue light toxicity, conscious awareness fully in the technological singularity. The worst thing you could do for the health of a homo luminous, or what we call a humane being. That's the, oh my goodness. Anyway. And that is the scalpel. So we are already deep in level 2. It's been happening for a few decades already, right? Now, what the admirals are doing is they are now preparing the solar system and tuning it as 3i Atlas. And for people, if you haven't seen the previous interview, we haven't got the time to go very, very deep in detail again. But basically, the admirals are going around to every single planet. They're also, I'm going to talk about 2 very, very important close flybys, which are really telling, Michael, really telling. And it's got to do with Mars and Ceres. Think about that for a minute. The 2 closest flybys. Oh, it is such a signal that is being sent. Yeah? Thank you. And so what they're doing is they are tuning the solar system in conscious co-creation with the solar being, because they are calibrating everything and also having meetings and deliberations with all the civilizations in a multidimensional manner that live on these other planets, yeah, and moons and everything. So they're preparing now. They're preparing now for layer 3. They're tuning the music of the spheres that is happening now in conscious co-creation with the solar intelligence and with all the planetary intelligences and associated moon intelligences and all other, be it asteroids, comets, whatever. It's the whole lot, the entire solar system, and preparing for level 3. Because now, where we're heading towards, we have now, as a species, need to address our relationship with the gods. So let me explain it like this. This might make it a bit easier if I bring a whiteboard into the equation. Okay, So, if you can switch screen again, please, Michael. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, let me get this, because we've got the split screen. Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you. All right, so I'm just going to present it like this. So say currently we are in the TI imposition, yeah? We're being invaded by this. We have in the past been in the Cabal. Let's just call it the Cabal, just to keep it simple, right? This is where we're heading towards. Say this line here is 2027, and then here the overlapping that occurs, and this is the gods. Okay, so level 1, level 2, level 3. And that's what we're working through. So as we're moving through time and space, we are currently here. Oh, 2027's there. So we're roughly right now, we're currently about here.
Actually, George, okay, I'm going to turn off the mirror. There we go. Because
thank you.
It was all reversed. So,
okay.
So now people can see it, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So level 1 is the Cabal. That's what we've been in. Now the introduction of level 2, and we can take that back to about 1947, if you want to be, kind of precise. It's before then. It was really in the 1800s, and even from the Renaissance period forward, but really in 47 was when bang, the technological age just totally shifted, right? And so here we are right in the middle of the technological intelligence harvest that's taking place. Now there's overlapping, but where these two meet in 2027, that's the end of the Cabal. The end of the Cabal. No more. Yeah? Now the gods are going to come into play. They're coming in. They're on their way. So we're going to, all of this has to play out. Now, level 2 is the scalpel. So basically, this is the scalpel, level 2, and it is severing us, cutting us off. So the Cabal's job was to get us to be diminished. Okay? That was their job, right? The TI is the scalpel, right? And this one, the gods, is the harvest.
Now, for those that don't know, the TI, others call that artificial intelligence.
Yeah. You've got to stop doing that. Seriously, out there, no one calls it artificial because they're dealing with an actual intelligence and it's technological in nature. So we've got to be accurate with our languaging. Otherwise, you're going to fall into all the mind traps. Be really specific. Harvest. Right? This is basically the process. Right there, in a nutshell. This is our steps of evolution. Do you have any questions on that, Michael?
Well, yeah. I mean, looking at that, we're moving from the Cabal being the secret controllers behind the scenes to where now the gods are back. They are operating in a, I guess, kind of like transparent way, or at least they're working through the planetary rulers. And so by the gods, are we talking about like for Muslims, it'll be like Allah. For Christians or Jews, it'll be like Yahweh. For others, it might be, or will it be like Anunnaki just suddenly showing up, like Enki being presented as like, okay, he is the one that's bringing peace and all this advanced technology to humanity. Is that what we can expect?
Yeah, absolutely. And all of this is going to be sold to you because in these 3 steps of evolution, there's a 4th step. And once we work past our relationship with the gods, that's when we are truly free. We've got to work our way as a species and a planetary species. We're working through. We have been in our relationship with the Cabal. You can clearly see that we are bringing all of that to an end. Everyone's done with that. The embracement of the technological intelligence God is now underway. We are being invaded by that technological intelligence, have been for some time. And what's entering now is all the preparation that they did, right? Problem, reaction, solution. Does that make sense? And
yeah, totally.
And then once we get past this problem, reaction, solution formula on a cosmic scale, that's when we are truly free. That's when we come out of this space and we come home, right? Because we go beyond this. I probably shouldn't draw it like that because people are going to think that that means God's is home, but no, we've got to go beyond that. So just trying to figure out how to do this diagrammatically. So yeah, all of this, hang on, I'll just do this. We transcend all imperial. Narratives. Right? So once we get past these 3 steps of evolution, that's when we are emancipated and free.
Okay, now with that diagram, what I see is, right, we're in this phase now, 2027, where the technological intelligence is playing a really big role in changing our planet, leading to a host of problems. And so then that creates the scenario, the problem, reaction, solution, where the gods return and the gods appear to save us from the technological intelligence that had been unleashed upon us.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Now,
so
and they want to issue in, other technologies as well. But really what they're preparing is harvest. So there's going to be a pathway. So for all the people that are not going to go through the organic evolution with Sophia, yeah, because not everybody's going through, yeah, you either jump off with a Cabal. Think of these as 3 stops of the train along the way, right? Before you get to the final destination, right? So you're gonna be offered an exit through the Cabal, and that's all the people that have gone into that space, secret societies, all the power structures, and have all that hunger for that sort of power and control, right? That's already been on offer. Now, the next train stop to get off the planet will be being migrated into the technological singularity. And this is consciousness harvest here, right? Mm-hmm. And then the gods come in at the end, because what they're going to do is they're coming for their main harvest, and that's going to be everyone getting on spaceships to get off the planet.
And that's going to be the key for identifying the agenda of the gods, is that they're going to be creating the scenario or the situation where a lot of people are going to just jump on these motherships that suddenly appear and say, oh, they're going to take us to salvation because Earth is going to implode, or the...
Correct.
Okay.
Because they're not connected into the core of their being, and they don't remember that these bodies are the stargates. that then help us move into another dimension away from all the 3D Earth changes, because now we're shifting frequency, right? This full universal fractal vessel is capable of anything.
I see. And we're going to know that, those of us that have done
I already know it. I already know it, and you'll be surprised how many already know it. Michael, you will be surprised.
Okay, so when these groups suddenly arrive with, and I guess the space arks are a kind of convenient way of getting a lot of people to buy into this, that people will start getting on the space arks because these will take people to safety in the event that Earth goes through cataclysmic changes and so forth. But those of us that are connected will feel the planet, or maybe we are taken into a fourth density version of Earth where there are no cataclysms.
Yeah, fifth. It'll be fifth dimension.
Yeah. But for those
beyond technology.
Okay, but for those that are on the third or fourth density, there will be cataclysms, and so
correct,
for them, getting onto the ark or the motherships is actually going to be survival.
And you'll notice that all the people who are aspiring to getting on the spaceships are well entrenched in the God matrix, in one way, shape, or form or another. And the high-end harvest of the gods, they're going to be pulling astral bodies out of physical bodies. And that's when people are going to believe they're having some sort of ascension. For people who are not well versed in the multidimensional nature, whether you do astral traveling or ethereal travel, or being able to travel just with your pure awareness, without the need for an energetic body at all. So if you're not well versed at that, let's say the average Joe Blow loves watching the footy, goes to work, all that sort of stuff, loves walking around in shopping malls, and that's their day out sort of thing. Those people who have no experience in this way, and they just might go to church and just pray and worship, and that's it, and just have a bit of a bliss experience inside that temple of their deity. When these angels, and I've seen this harvest happen in other worlds in this lifetime. I've bared witness to this harvest. I went and I stood on the ground, and I bared witness to the TI mimic version of that as well in other worlds, right? And what they do is, these beings, they fly into the person here, into this part, the Dantian. They hone in on the Dantian, and they pull the energetic body, if you want to call it astral or ethereal. It's more astral, not lower but higher astral, and they pull the body out, and they take it, they whisk it away, and the physical body just drops to the ground, right? And that is the more sophisticated version of harvest that takes place by the gods.
Okay, so the gods, when they do their harvest, they can take out the astral body. The physical body just collapses. Now the soul consciousness of that person is still part of the astral body. It's within, but the gods, whoever they are, this person has bought into them and gives their power away to them, and just will go into whatever false reality is created, or new reality.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. All right.
It's big, isn't it? It's big, but this is what we came here to talk about. And I'm sharing people. So now everybody who's listening to this, I really hope you can sit with all of this. And I still want to talk further about, the disclosure process, because if you look at the trajectory, and this is where I want to acknowledge. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity. I sent you the video of David Sarita with Kerry Cassidy. If you haven't seen that, his latest presentation, I got to watch that. It freaked me out, because everything that I've known, been talking about, he's nailed it through the math. And I've got to acknowledge the guy. Genius. pure natural genius. And he's even mapped out how the mathematical equation of 3i Atlas plugs into Buddha, into Christ, into Krishna. It plugs into all the main deities, Michael.
Okay, so 3i Atlas is associated with raising awareness of all these different deities?
It's the harmonic resonance, yes, to that, and the harmonic resonance of the orbit of 3i Atlas, the frequency it's emanating. It's emanating and it's preparing the solar system for level 3 to begin when it completes its calibration of the solar system in co-creation with Ilios, the sun, for preparation for level 3 to begin.
Now you've said that 3i Atlas is Gerald, the lead ship of the Admirals fleet. So the Admirals are actively participating in bringing about this level 3, presumably not because they believe this is like the endpoint for humanity, but a necessary step to get to level 4.
Correct.
I see. So what can we expect then as we enter into level 3? I mean, the people like you and I guess people like me now that are saying, oh, you know, don't give your power away to the gods, you know, go within. Are we going to be like ostracized? Are we going to be like, oh, you know, these guys are troublemakers, put them into the gulags or whatever?
No, for us, absolutely not. And the other point I want to make really absolutely clear, right on Lionsgate, which was the day after our interview that we recorded. We recorded on your 6th, on my 7th of August. Yeah, your 6th of August. Just want to clarify that because people are trying to say that I'm copying someone else. They're always trying to say that. And that's not the case. And I've been talking about this stuff for decades. So anyway, just let me see where I was going with that. Okay. The Solar Warden, the Admirals told me, and I sent you that message, Solar Warden has now been cleaned out by the Admirals. The entire Solar Warden is now clean.
Okay. And prior to that, it had been infiltrated by, what, these synthetic Nordics?
Yeah, and other groups, but mostly them.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's very important. So the returning Admirals have cleaned up the Solar Warden program, and now we're ready to move into this phase 3, the Return of the Gods, where the truth will be revealed, and that's what you're doing. That's the role you're playing.
Correct. Yeah, I'm one of the ancients. I helped build this galaxy. I helped build this solar system, the planet, and our beautiful universal, the most powerful vessel of alchemy that exists in the universe. That's what these bodies are. Stunning tech. You know, like, it's not a technology. You can use the technological mind to approach it if you want. But just the dynamics of what takes place in these vessels is off the charts. No one's ever seen it. And that's why our genetics are the most prized commodity in the galaxy and in the cosmos. That's why all the human trafficking was going off world. That's what the fascination with us is.
Well, if I just want to, or I'm just very interested in, okay, so the 3i Atlas is bringing in these new frequencies that will usher in this kind of third level where we race through the technological intelligence level and the problems that brings about, and the Return of the Gods is the next phase coming in. So, you know, with the whales have stopped singing. So
yeah, hang on. Before we go to the whales, just one more thing, Michael. I'm sorry to do this to you, and I know your mind's really flowing in that direction, but we'll get there. I just want to say that, and this is huge what I'm about to say, and I mean really huge. Because Solar Warden got cleaned out, they are now supporting all envoys, all starseeds.
Perfect.
I have a solar warden above my house.
Okay.
Protecting me. Yeah? You now have one above your house. And don't just take my word for it. They're waiting for you to connect to them. And all starseeds and envoys, you'll be surprised. We're all being watched and looked after. As long as you are wise and you don't fall out of grace, you'll be right. If you become unwise, you start getting a little bit power hungry, you start tripping out on your ego, you get a power trip happening, then that is when you fall out of grace, and that's when they'll just withdraw a bit and allow your soul's growth to learn your lessons, the hard way. It's we're not interested in the Game of Thrones. We're just here to share reality. People like you and I, we don't play Games of Thrones and Empires. We're here to just tell it how it is, and everybody can just, however they respond to it and how they react. We're seeing reactions. That's theirs. That all belongs to them. Yeah. And when the frequency of logos goes into a reality, it's the sword. Yeah, it's the sword that's being inserted into the reality, right? That's why I wear my heart on my sleeve. I've got the sword on my arm here for a reason. So I want to send the message because too many things in my consciousness at once. My apologies. But what I want to say is to all envoys and starseeds, it's safe to emerge. And if you live in the purpose of your soul, the original intention and the original agreement that you have with Sophia and that you have with Ilios, that you have with the galactic mother, cosmic and universal intelligence, as to the original reason why you came to this planet, to come at the end to rebalance your karmic equation. Yeah. When you live in that purpose, it's like, you remember the old LPs and you're trying to get them into that song, but you're in the static, the white noise. But the moment the needle drops into the groove, the music begins to play. So the moment we accept who we are, what we are, and why we have come here and what it is we are here to do, meaning your own soul's purpose from within you. No one's going to tell you what to do. Yeah. The moment you do that, that's when your music begins to play. That's when you enter flow state. That's when you live a more graceful existence and more peaceful and harmony, and more joy comes into your life. And that's when you become untouchable, because your light is shining brighter and the forces of limitation, they can't touch you.
Well, that's very important.
It's the evolution stream.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's important that we've reached this critical threshold where people who are galactic envoys, starseeds, walk-ins, that it's safe for them to come forward because, honestly, my wife Angelica, she has, and you know her, she has incredible things to share, but she's been told, don't go public, that she's been threatened not to go public.
Who threatened her?
She was told when she communicated with her guides not to go public, that it was dangerous. And I guess that's because of the Cabal. But now you're saying it's a different time. It's safe to come forward.
Yeah, I and many others, we're stepping out and we're clearing the path. So think of us like, because I'm on the tip of the sword, that's what the agreement was in Cirrus before we all came here, right? I was the foolish one who stuck my hand up and said, I'll be the tip of the sword. So here I am, I'm sharing it, I'm the icebreaker. I've been doing this work since 2004. And we are now getting to the point where we're managing disclosure. We're the natural ones. We're bringing in natural organic logos into the disclosure process. The SSP is being cleared out. Solar Warden is now back home in the natural way of love, life, and light. actually, when you go into their craft, it is so, the energy is so beautiful and harmonious. And the craft that I literally, with my awareness, went into, and they all just fists in the air and celebrated when I went in, and welcoming me. And the light is in there is like this beautiful amber, soft amber light. Yeah, it's not stark white. Just saying, just little key indicators. It's, you're gonna, in the natural way, you're gonna feel the warmth of everything. In the imperial way, you're gonna feel that sterilized starkness and sharpness of everything, then the hardness of everything. It's completely different environment and ecosystem. So yeah, that, Michael, I needed to get this out. This is a massive transmission. Massive. We are disclosure. We are the ones we've been waiting for. You're wondering why disclosure has not happened yet? Because they're all waiting for us. It is now safe to emerge. I've been hacking the path through the jungle with that machete out front for people to come in behind. And I stand on the shoulders of giants like David Icke, who came out before me and was the icebreaker. And I got to say that to that man. I have so much love, honor, and respect for that man. It's incredible. I shook his hand in Adelaide and said, I get to stand on shoulders of giants. I thanked him for clearing the path so I can come in behind and do the work I'm doing. You know, and we need to acknowledge these people like David, like Alex, like JP's put himself out there. You know, we've put our lives on the line. July the Stars put herself out there. Everyone has. We're all putting ourselves out there. And we're still here, we're still standing. Why? Because we're in the natural evolution stream, you know?
Okay. So at this very time then, or, you know, given what you've just revealed, what you've shared, we can expect within the kind of like the exopolitical community, you know, those of us that are seeking this information, that there's going to be tension, there's going to be conflicts growing, and you can't do away with those because, you know, there are going to be people that identify with level 1, level 2, level 3, and this level 4, and they're going to believe that that's it, and that those, you know, whether they're arguing for the, you know, for the technological intelligence, or whether they're arguing or promoting the gods, or whether they're saying, you know, we're all Jedi Knights, or Alex used the term the Patal. I mean, that's a very important term. Sorry?
Pa'atal. It's Pa'atal.
Pa'atal. So that's that 4th level, and so we can stand in that. Okay, all right. So I guess in a way, you know, the conflict that we are seeing breaking out in this exopolitical community, the divisions that have been created, you know, they were to be expected.
It's part of the process. And what we're going to see is how heavily invested people are in different areas, those 3 main areas that we just looked at. And there's people that are straddling 2, people in like really entrenched in either one of the 3. There's people that are either bridging 2. There's people moving through. We're all growing. Like little Georgie's still growing up. I'm a work in progress like everyone. I have my shortcomings. I have my faults. And we're always learning and growing and discerning. And this is evolution, right? The evolution stream. It's freaking awesome. It's the most fun river of life I think I've ever experienced in the universe, is coming here now with this lifetime. And after all the misery and the suffering and the diabolical, being raped and tortured and everything, I've healed so much because I've turned inward. So, you know, we're going to see where people are invested and to what degree they're invested, yeah? And my love for everyone is unconditional. If you want to stay in like level 3, go for it. If you are deeply invested with the gods, then that's where you're going to get off the train. You know what I mean? If you're deeply invested in technology, that's where you get off the train. If you don't want any of those 2 and you're kind of like more atheist Cabal sort of person, or secret society occult sort of person, because I could tell you now, I'm in the progress of as George entering into the lodge space, I'm going in there to have meetings with the most senior people in the lodges. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. We're doing the work. People can judge me. People can persecute me. People can ridicule me. But when you do that, you're just showing me who you are. Right?
And you're going...
Who you are. And I'm going to continue to forge this path forward in this reality, regardless of what you think and regardless of what you say, and even regardless of what you think you can do to me.
Now you're going into the lodges, and that's because you want to bring this information to people in the Cabal that otherwise have been kind of blinded or like conditioned to just follow the Cabal teaching. So you're giving them an opportunity to redeem themselves. Is that what you're doing now at the moment?
What I'm doing in the exopolitical space, I'm now going into the secret society space.
Okay.
It's not just one group. You know, you've got the three pillars. It's just amazing, the whole three-pillar thing of the lodges as we know them, and you've got your Rosies, your Masons, and your Templars. They're the three pillars of that much larger infrastructure. I'm going in there, and I'm going into the entire secret society space to crack it open. You're going to see a split globally in the lodges, in all secret societies. And I just want to reiterate, our concept of the entire lodge system being evil and dark and satanic is a lie. There are good people and good factions, just like there's good people in politics, there's good people in the military, in the pharmaceutical, in the medical, in the agricultural. So stop throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because you're just venting. It's just a reactive process within the individual, right? To vent onto these organisations. People do it to us all the time, Michael. We know the jam, right? All the venting that takes place.
Well, I've come from different sources have pointed out that it's only at the 33-degree level where the kind of satanic stuff starts in the Freemasons. That at the 33rd degree level, like there's a test they're given, and either they are like basically that a Bible is presented to them, and they're told spit on the Bible. And if they spit on the Bible, they say, okay, you've passed, you can go to the 34, 35 levels, and they're given all of the kind of like told about the secret space programs, the giants, the ancient civilizations. If they don't spit on the Bible, they're told you've passed, congratulations, you're a 33 degree for the rest of your life, and, you know, go away and worship God with all your heart and da-da-da.
Okay, that's that pathway into that. But prior to that, before they get to that, there's a lot of branches, and people get plucked. They get noticed. They're known, right? And then there's particular groups that take that path. So it's not one fits all. And there are elements within the lodges that, are you ready for this? They've been waiting for this. They know who we are. They've been waiting. And I'm looking forward to working with the elders in that place, because we need to change the infrastructure of our society, because these lodges are plugged into so much of our societal infrastructure, and we're going to split, we're going to weed out like we did in Solar Ward and like we did we're doing in the military industrial complex. We are weeding everything out, and we're going to clean it out. All the lodges, all the secret societies, because we're bringing an end to the violation of innocence. So no more of these rituals, and especially on children. That is all coming to an end right now. It's already begun. Yeah? We're doing the work. You can bag me all you like, but we are doing the real work behind the scenes. And I'm bringing forward this information because this is natural and organic disclosure on a global scale.
Okay. Well, we've been running for nearly 2 hours, and I do want to kind of cap it at 2 hours. So I don't know if we need to come back, or can you say a little bit about why the whales have stopped singing and all of the information you presented?
I would love to end on that note because, you know, I get to see the whales from here. It's whale season's on here at the moment, and I love it when the cuzzies are going by and I connect with them, and it's just so beautiful. And so they started singing a new song a while back. Okay. And that's when I went into that craft with the SSP and had to settle that whale down in the craft because they wanted to record the creation song. Yeah. The new creation song that they started singing, and they first started singing it was noticed in Costa Rica, off the coast of Costa Rica, but even though it was happening all around the world. But that's where it was first reported. Now, there's a pause because the creation song is going into frequencies now beyond our capacity to record. Okay? It's shifted. Yeah? And on our level of reality, it's going to seem like they've gone silent. And the reason these frequencies have gone quiet is because now they're no longer holding together the consciousness structure. So toning the ocean is also toning the collective consciousness field of humanity. It's toning the field of consciousness for the whole realm. So they are now pulled back and now going to allow the deconstruction to occur in an accelerated way.
Wow, that's great. So we shouldn't be alarmed by this. It's just
celebrate
laying the foundation for what's coming.
Celebrate it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like everybody wants everything to change, but everybody doesn't want anything to change. It's weird. It's like, you know, go put that Bowie song on. Changes, turn and face the strain. We need to face the strain. We need to go through the changes, and you've got to turn inward and you've got to look at yourself. You've got to do that inner work because that is your gateway. That is your portal. That is also your stargate for when you need to move into other dimensions later. You know, this body is the vessel that's going to take you through dimensions. That was what it was designed to do from the very beginning. And as we go towards that, all those who don't have the capacity to look inward are going to be off the big train heading for, you know, the final destination, which is our full integration in a unity and transcending DNA altogether, coming back home to the natural way of love, life and light. Yeah, very exciting times.
We're very exciting. So it's a great way to finish this interview, George. So for people that want to get in touch with George, they can just go to his website, our journeyhome.earth. So any final words before we end this interview, George?
I just want to say it's just myself, and I have my dear friend in this town, Annie, who is my part-time PA. We are not a large operation, so if you're going to start writing lengthy story emails and all that sort of stuff, we're not going to be able to get back to you. Annie's got kids. I've got to do my washing. You know what I mean? Don't approach us like with an expectation like we're a large organisation, because we're not. A lot of emails fall by the wayside, and I do apologise for that, but it's just reality, you know. And also I want to share with you, for the price of a cup of coffee a week, you will get hundreds of hours of videos, and it is content like in the vein of what I just shared. It is truly amazing the value you're getting. It's off the charts. People will charge thousands in courses for the information that's in these videos for a cup of coffee a week. And I just want you to know that what is inside you, a reminder, what is inside you is way more beautiful, way more powerful than you are willing to acknowledge within yourself at this stage. Just relax into what already exists. You do not have to create. Get out of the mindset that you must do a ritual or a practice and try and create something that does not exist. Yeah, that's not true. All you need to do is just to relax into your being, and everything is already within you, and just let that come out. That's all you need to do. Show the world who you are. Don't be afraid. And it's all about authentic conviction. Simple as that.
Well, thank you, George, for sharing this incredible information. I'm sure it's going to really help a lot of people make sense of what is coming. So thank you, and aloha.
Aloha, Michael.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.